Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, September 4th, 9 a.m. Eastern. Just a reminder, we don't have the oil inventory report today due to the holiday on Monday. That's tomorrow with the natural gas inventory report as well. So we have a significant gap up open in SPY, and the bulls are in full control as far as being within the range of the August dump and bounce that we've been watching for so long at this point. And we are looking up at that resistance again. So the short-term support level is the low of consolidation in extended hours, and that's 290.283. And if that level breaks today, then we know that we have to see further hourly consolidation, and the bulls aren't going to be headed to that resistance just yet. But if the bulls can hold that 292.83 support and break the high of pre-market of 293.72, then we're headed right back up to the top of the August bounce, and that's at 294.24. So, burden of proof is on the bears in this market right now, and we're seeing a little bit of a bullish reaction due to some positive news out of Hong Kong. So, definitely could point to fundamentals for the reason for this. But again, what I've been saying and what I will continue to say is, with so much negative speculation and recession talk and all this negative fundamental data that everybody keeps pointing to, if we're not even close to the August lows, none of that matters to me. So it's always price action is what matters to me as a trader. And it seems like with the bulls so close to resistance and any little positive news seeing such a big bullish reaction, that we are certainly favoring the bulls at this point. All that being said, we're entering a scenario where bears have a clear top fishing level to be looking at. And the past two times that we've gotten up to these resistances on the daily time frame, they've been good bearish entries. So again, just looking back, 294.15 was a great bearish entry. 293.93 was a great bearish entry. 294.24 was a good bearish entry. So keeping an eye on these top fishing plays, and the individual names are going to be testing their resistance levels as well. And we're going to be watching for whether or not they can break them. Some names have clear daily lower highs to be watching. So potential for bearish entries based on resistance levels, and that's what we're going to be keeping an eye on. So looking at the dollar is confirming its bearish reversal candlestick on the daily time frame. So big upper wick yesterday, a shooting star. We're following through with that. We're looking for a daily higher low to form. Hourly oversold conditions is when we start to look for the potential of that daily higher low to form. So we're keeping an eye out for an hourly trend change to indicate the daily higher low has been established. But as of right now, it's the potential of an hourly bear flag with this current weak bounce attempt. Gold is certainly struggling short term with this resistance level of 1555. And we're looking up at the top of this move, 1550. So that's going to be a key resistance level to be watching. And short-term support, the bulls have to hold 1516 to keep full control on the daily time frame. So that's going to be our must-hold support level. And the range on the daily is tightening. And we're going to get a break sometime in the near-term future. One of these levels, either continuation to higher highs like silver has already done, or a bear break of that support level, which would indicate a loss of the daily uptrend and weekly consolidation taking place. Silver, again, already following through, bulls in complete control. Anything on the 4-hour time frame above 1917 keeps the bulls in full control. Right now, we're looking at the possibility of a bull flag on the 4-hour time frame, and we'll see if the bulls can follow through by getting over 1957. Silver is still on fire. Oil seeing a very big move and actually just got a recent spike, and I was beginning to scale into some small positions I just got stopped out of. I was entering bearish on DWT because of how extended we are. This bounce from the lows from yesterday, great follow through for the bulls, but getting very extended. Some bullish news, again, out of Hong Kong is likely adding to the strength of this bounce. But to go from 52.84 to 55.37, definitely scouting bearish entries in oil for today. That's almost a 5% move on oil with no 4-hour consolidation. So the hourly RSI currently is over 70. 15-minute RSI is up at 85. So we're just very extended in the short term and keeping an eye out for a potential top fishing play with a resistance level. So we have a clear stop level to be going off of. But that is definitely a trade setup for this morning to be watching. DWT is the leveraged, 3 times leveraged bear. and USO puts would be a way to play options on oil. But just looking for a 4-hour pullback and a healthy higher low to form, just a bit extended in the short term. Let's see, nat gas. So natural gas has seen the continuation now. Bulls are still in full control. The 4-hour higher low, higher high pattern continues. Our most recent 4-hour higher low is 2337. So the bulls are still very strong. And the next resistance level is 2414 and then 2475 with limited resistance levels as we approach 250. It's all about 250 from here. And bulls are probably going to be looking to enter on the daily higher low. I would love to see, and I probably will enter for a daily higher low as well. I previously was looking for a weekly higher low to be looking for an entry, but because of the strength of the bulls over the last 2 weeks, I will probably shift that game plan and look for an entry on the daily higher low. And let's see how far the bulls run before we get that healthy daily consolidation. Keeping in mind that we are extended. Again, we have gone 10% now since the last daily consolidation at 212 took place. And last we got Bitcoin. Currently seeing some consolidation. Daily inside bar is forming. Bulls are going to have to hold 10,286 for that daily inside bar to form. 4-hour testing exponential supports right now. And if the daily inside bar does form, it breaking bearish would have us looking for the daily higher low. So hourly RSI hitting oversold is something to be watching for as well, because of after such a big bull move, we'll be looking for an hourly higher low to, or I should say an hourly oversold bounce to give us a solid bounce. So that's something to be keeping an eye out for, but that won't occur until we get down towards 10,300 or even a bit lower. So at this point, just patiently waiting for whether this inside bar is going to form, and then if it does, how does it break tomorrow? So MJ sector has my attention this morning after the bull volume from 2 p.m. yesterday into the close. We'll see if that has any kind of follow through. Certainly a nice strong start for SPY to be looking for the sector to benefit from. Also going to be watching, like I said, DWT, and that's pretty much going to be my focus for this morning. Also watching the S&P 500 as always as it approaches resistance, but keeping an eye out for a setup for a bearish entry on oil and watching for follow through in the MJ sector. So CXO CXO on the daily chart is a tightening range. The bulls have to hold 68.25. If we break 68.25, we lose the little higher low pattern, and the odds of a weekly bear flag will increase significantly. So the bulls have to hold 68.25, and if we do, we have an equilibrium with the most important resistance, 73.63. As far as the hourly time frame goes, short-term resistance is 70.58, which was an hourly little bounce attempt from yesterday. So ES is coming up on daily resistance. Our higher low is now established at 28.89, and we're looking up at resistance of 29.46, 29.47. If we can't break 29.47, we do not get a clear bull break. If we do, then that is a big point in favor of the bulls. So hourly time frame short-term support is 29.2650. That's our hourly higher low. If we fail to break the high of this morning and then lose that hourly higher low, we'll zoom out and watch for trying to find the time frame that would be most clear from there. And I would just be watching these two daily levels if we lose the hourly uptrend, and we'll likely stay within the range of the last 2 days, our higher low from yesterday and our resistance from Friday. GTII. So GTII has a little higher low on the daily at 11.17. Short-term resistance is 12.33, and then we're looking up at 13.11. Could you call this a daily trend change? Yes, but again, it would be what I would call the weaker variety, just a one-day little pullback into continuation and not the clear pivot points with space and time in between. But again, bulls will take it. So trying to get some follow-through hourly support to keep the bulls in control is down at 11.97. If we break 11.97 without breaking 12.33, then we are likely going to see a daily inside bar today. SPXL. So SPXL on the daily time frame, a little higher low. Let's see, did the gap fill 47.98? And the gap did fill by the penny. So the key resistance is 50.53. If the bulls cannot break 50.53, we'll have a tightening range in between Friday and yesterday. And if we do break that range, then it's step number 1 for breaking out of this August contained range that we've been watching for the last month. As far as support goes, the low of pre-market is the first support level to be watching. CGC, little gap up open is trying to form here. The gap would fill if we consolidate to 24.99, and resistance levels are going to be 25.28, 25.47, and 26. Watching the daily exponential resistance still in play, and the bulls are going to have to see some significant follow through today. I want to see more than 5 million shares traded in a green day, and that's a tall order to fill for the bulls, and I'm being a bit picky, but that's what I want to see to be very confident in the follow through on this bounce attempt. And as far as support goes, first level would be the gap fill, and the next level would be from extended hours, 24.57. SOXX, so also looking at the potential of a small gap up open. Resistance is going to be 205 and 206.59. Daily time frame, higher low, looking to be formed at 220 now, and the bulls are going to have to break 206.59 for the little higher low and higher high. So 206.59 key resistance, and the key sectors that I'm watching. Oh, I missed IWM and Amazon. Sorry about that, 40 Rock. So I'll do that in a second, but I'm watching IWM and XLF as key resistance or key sectors that need to break their resistance and change their daily trend. Because SPY bulls are going to struggle to break their August highs, their August bounce highs without that happening. So same thing for each individual sector. For every individual sector that breaks its daily resistances, the odds that SPY can get a clear break over the 294s will increase. So for SOXX, that level is 206.59. So for IWM, if the bulls can form this daily higher low at 146 and break 150, that is a clear daily trend change for the first time since the August dump, and that will increase the odds significantly that SPY can break bullish. And XLF is the same thing. Have to change that daily trend with the higher low and higher high by getting over 2706. That will be important for me to trust the S&P 500 bulls for follow through if we break those August highs. If we break the August highs on SPY in those sectors, if IWM and XLF are not changing their daily trend, I'm going to remain a bit skeptical. So Amazon, 1800 breaking pre-market with a gap up open. And now it's all about 1830 and 1832, 1834. So 3 resistances in the 1830 to 1834 range that have to break for a clear break of the daily lower highs. So a nice start by getting over the triple top of the last 3 days, but still work for the bulls to do. Work. So work is coming off of all-time lows. Anything on the daily under 30.21 is just a lower high. So hourly chart looks like a gap up open over the high of yesterday is coming, but we have to break the daily resistance of 30.21. Otherwise, it's just a lower high, and daily exponential resistance is going to be in play today as well. BYND pulling back. Anything on the daily above 146 is a higher low, but we have to be cautious of the weekly lower high and the right shoulder forming on this head and shoulders pattern. Hourly trend has to change back to the bulls in order to be looking for the daily higher low to be set, which we are anticipating the daily higher low is going to happen. And it's looking like BYND is setting up for a daily inside bar today. We're over $2 above the low of yesterday, but we're still almost $5 under the high. So if the bulls can hold on and hold 162.21 support for most of the morning, the odds of a daily inside bar with yesterday's range will be high. Bear miners will get some solid short-term upside if we see gold lose its daily uptrend. That's certainly something to be watching. Entirely possible that someone was loading significant oil yesterday. Certainly wouldn't doubt it. ISRG. We saw that unusual oil action in UWT, and that was shortly before the bottom. So ISRG resistance levels. Anything under the high of yesterday is just an hourly lower high. So resistance is 509.81, and we are anticipating a lower high compared to that level is very likely. So not many clear resistance levels in the short term, but after such a big drop yesterday, the bulls are only hoping for a daily inside bar. Just hold that low of yesterday. And if we saw a solid bounce over 500, we would look for a likely hourly equilibrium to form. VFF had some news this morning. Bullish gap up open is coming. Resistance, we're going to be looking up at 1122 and 1167. So weekly higher low is trying to form now. And bulls are hoping that this news is going to help be a catalyst for that weekly higher low to be set at 10.05. And it does look to be that way. So again, we have to be watching to see, can the bulls hold on to these gains on the gap up open? If not, and if we see some profit taking, the gap to fill would be down at 1083. FR.TO, a little bit of a double top on the daily, but I assume we're going to break 1550 this morning with a bit more conviction. It does look like a rising wedge on the daily time frame. So I would be watching this resistance line. And depending on how you draw, I draw with the real bodies, so it wouldn't be a good support line, but if you drew it with the lows, not much of a support line to follow through with that rising wedge, but I'd be watching this resistance line and see if the bulls are able today to get over the 1580s, because if not, we would just be rejecting from that resistance. But certainly still in breakout mode on both the daily and the weekly time frame. T-God's going to see a big drop. We get no pre-market information or volume. So we're looking for a daily higher low compared to 293, but we'd have no idea how significant this bearish reaction to news is going to be. So 335 and 320 are the first two levels of support, but anything over 293 is a daily higher low. GDXJ unable to break resistance yesterday. 4280 is resistance. We formed a lower high. The bulls must hold 4053. If we lose 4053 support, we lose the daily uptrend. So a tightening range, let's see if it's a 4-hour equilibrium, and it is. So high, low, lower high, and bulls are trying for a 4-hour higher low this morning, 4157, and key resistance is 4254. So a 4-hour tightening range to be watching on these miners while gold is tightening up on the daily. Things are going to get interesting and give us some clarity for next week, likely before the end of this week, as to whether or not gold gets a bull break for continuation or loses that daily uptrend. And the miners will obviously follow in kind. CVS. So CVS trying to gap up open over 6115 to go straight to the higher high. And that's the daily trend change if we get it. We have our higher low at 59.69, and if we break 61.15, that is a little higher low and higher high. And from there, it's 61.31, and then we're looking back up at the recent high. So daily uptrend remains intact. And the hourly support, we haven't established anything from the low of yesterday, so just be aware that hourly consolidation is likely due sooner rather than later after going from 59.69 up over 61 with no hourly higher low formed in the meantime. ACB bullish reaction to news. Short-term support is going to be 577 and resistance is 590, so just looking at the pre-market levels. In the daily chart, exponential resistance is going to be tested today. Bulls would love to close over the 12-period exponential resistance for the first time in about 2 or 3 weeks. And from here, after 620 is the most important short-term level for me. Hourly time frame is a bit overextended, so if we do break that low of pre-market, hourly consolidation will be underway, and the gap to fill back to the downside would be at 569 if we break the low of pre-market. LVGO is extremely weak. So it's a potential bear flag on the daily that the bulls are trying to negate, and we have to get over 32 to negate it, which is still a ways away. First resistance is 31.38, high of yesterday, and then we're looking to 32. So potential bottom fishing play, as there is a double bottom at 29.52, 29.63, but if we don't break 32, bulls do not prove anything to us. IN.TO in full-on breakout mode, so 43 is resistance. After that, we're looking at 46 and 51. And the hourly higher low of support to keep the bulls in full control is 39. So 39 is the most important support to be watching. For the bulls to keep full control, when we lose the hourly uptrend, we anticipate a healthy daily higher low to form, as we have now seen almost 100% move with no daily consolidation. NEE, bulls in full control still. Big day yesterday. 225.57, all-time high being tested. I assume we're breaking it pre-market. So 226 in psychological levels as resistance, and our new daily higher low is 218.81. And again, this is just an absolute beast of the energy sector. I don't think you're going to find an energy name with this kind of uptrend on the weekly with this kind of market cap. COUP. Daily uptrend has been lost. Pretty much a double top at 148, and 128 is now the most important support level. Looks like we have a big gap up. So we're going to be right at these resistances to start the morning. Bulls want to close the day over 148. And if we don't, I would consider that a bit of a failure for these bulls. So we will need healthy hourly consolidation if we break 149 after the bell rings. And we'll look for that higher low to form. Pretty much best case for the bulls, hold 148 on an hourly higher low and a bull flag. But 151 is short-term resistance now. And that is the all-time high. CLDR. So 725 is key resistance. We're getting over that level. Now we're in gap fill territory, so there's a lack of resistance. We're looking up at 8 psychological. Hourly support. Have to look at extended hours levels because there's nothing else nearby. So 719 is hourly support, and the gap would fill at 724 if we pull back from this open. But a nice strong start. Again, got to close over 725. Both of these names that are breaking their clear resistance have to close over those levels for convincing action throughout today. HARV, solid bounce on the daily, very quickly up 30% in 5 days. Next resistance is 688, and then 7 psychological. And the hourly uptrend to keep the bulls in full control, the most important level for me is 663. Bulls want to break the high of yesterday first thing and see some follow-through for confidence in the sector. If shop cannot break 392.80 first thing this morning, we have an hourly equilibrium. The range of the candlestick on the hourly yesterday, the higher low yesterday afternoon, and this morning we'll look for a lower high if we cannot break 392.80. If we do break that level, our daily higher low is clearly established and we're looking back up at the recent high. All about 392.80 first thing this morning. WKHS 370 is a must hold, and the key resistance is 407. So we have the hourly range between 370 and 407. And that's the range that we're watching today. Potential for a bottom fish off of 370 if we were to drop down towards that level first thing this morning. But otherwise, patiently waiting for a break of that range. ZYNE. So tight daily range on ZYNE. The bulls are hoping that 1020 is our higher low, and we have to break 1110 to change the daily trend. So 1090, 11, and 1110 are all short-term resistances, and short-term supports are 1047 and 1021. And not getting any pre-market information at this point. Already did work. 2922 has to break on work, but on the daily time frame, anything under 3021 is just a lower high. If we do not break 3021, the bulls are proving nothing to us from the all-time low. AMD is in a tightening daily range. Again, I like the 2-day for clarity just to condense it and tighten it up a bit. The bulls have to break 3187 and 3219 for a clear bull break. Giving back a lot of the gap up open right now, so looking for an hourly higher low to form from this pre-market profit taking. 3112 is currently the low of pre-market, but bigger picture, things can get choppy on the shorter term time frames as long as we are within this 2-day equilibrium. And if we break 3114 today, which is more likely than not, we'll say that our higher low has been set at 3068, and the range will continue to tighten. Good morning, TLT. So we have a double top or a triple top in the upper 148s, and it would be a bear break under 146.13. And we're testing that level today. So if we break 146.13, we lose the daily uptrend, which means zoom out to the weekly chart, and we'll look for a weekly higher low to form, as we've seen 6 weeks in a row now without weekly consolidation, with bulls being in full control. So a key support test after the triple top to potentially lose the daily uptrend. N53 has to break, and then we're looking up at 60. Daily trend change will be convincing if we get over 53, but looking at the weekly time frame, I would consider anything under 60 just a weekly lower high. So 53 and 60 key resistances, and support I would look at 47 as our hourly higher low. Nat gas full-on breakout mode. Very overextended on some shorter term time frames. Although I guess very is the wrong word, but extended on some shorter term time frames. Support 2357. We're looking for a higher low on the 15-minute compared to that level. And the more extended these bulls are, the more I'm going to like. The more extended these bulls are as we head to 250, the more I'm going to like a potential top fishing play, at least to look for daily consolidation from that level. So I'd love to see 2 more green days in a row and the price up at 249 for a potential top fish play. But the bulls are just creating more and more space to keep this 4-hour uptrend intact at this point. Congrats to the Nat Gas Bulls. So here we go heading into the open. We're watching the range of pre-market on SPY. So most important support level for me on SPY from pre-market is 292.83. And we'll see if oil gives us any sign of weakness. I'm watching the 5-minute uptrend on oil, which would have to break. Let's see if Canadian MJ names and MJ names in general can hold the momentum the bulls had from the end of the day yesterday. VFF is a lead bull percentage-wise, first thing, with ACB up there as well. Oil is seeing breakout continuation, so another 5-minute higher low on oil is now 55.37. So not a strong start for MJ, but it's only been 90 seconds. So it is the tech sector, and pretty much all sectors are up roughly the same amount, so no one's standing out as a clear bull or bear out of the sectors. Tech sector is up a bit more than the financial sector, though not significantly. SPY is still holding our low pre-market level initially. I'm just watching APHA pretty close right now with my finger on the trigger, where if we headed back down to the close of yesterday, I would exit half of my position. New high of the day for MJ names is what bulls are looking for after some initial profit taking on the higher opens. CGC at the high of the day, need a clear break here. As far as individual names go, Apple up the most with Facebook in the tech sector, and Netflix is up the least currently. And watching to see if Facebook is going to be able to break that high of yesterday. Facebook will potentially be a top fishing play because we're still not through that high of yesterday at 185.67. So even with such a strong start, daily inside bar is entirely possible for Facebook if we cannot break that resistance level. So new high of the day on CGC is a good sign. We're watching the high pre-market. Bulls definitely want it to be a bit more convincing. So CGC is already getting the follow through. VFF, ACB, APHA yet to break their highs to try and get that follow through as well. They're still close, but not convincing just yet. So Tesla's approaching its high of yesterday, 228.95 resistance, and it's similar to Facebook, keeping an eye out for the potential of top fishing plays with the high of yesterday. But of course, the bears would want to see SPY break that pre-market support level of 292.83 to increase the chances of bearish rejections from highs of yesterday on Tesla and Facebook. VFF and ACB fading back to the low of the day. So inability to break their highs. CGC is the only name that stands out to me from major Canadian MJ names that were able to. SPY back towards the low of the day. Facebook initially rejecting from its high of yesterday. So we got within 40, make that 34 cents. And initially rejecting. SPY heading down to our pre-market support. Keeping in mind that we have to watch the correlation with oil and SPY today because oil is so overextended. Got to be watching to see if even healthy oil consolidation is going to add a bit of downward pressure on SPY. So CGC quickly back to the red. Cron is in the red. The weakest of the major Canadian MJ names first thing this morning. Not the strong start the bulls are hoping for. So I'm out half of APHA just to remain conservative. SPY has not broken its pre-market support yet. We just held it by a few pennies. Oil bull still in control, just watching that 5-minute uptrend still intact. CMG, daily higher low is set at 823.43, and the only bearish entry is top fishing the all-time high of 849. SPY bulls are responding well so far to that support. Oil is helping SPY, it appears, as oil is continuing to higher highs. XOP, bulls on the daily have to break 2213 to change the daily trend. It's a very clear daily downtrend at this point. We do have a higher low on the daily now with yesterday's low, but we have to break 2213. KHC, all bear to start the morning. So we've already filled the gap from the higher open this morning, looking at it on the hourly time frame. Bulls need an hourly higher low to form. We didn't consolidate on the hourly at any point yesterday after that big bull move took place. And we have to look at extended hours levels for support. So looking down at 25.93 as a support that's approaching, but an overextended hourly chart and a gap up open leading to some profit taking. Some USMJ names are holding on well. OH and C-Web standing out. IAN is trying to break its daily range, but it's rejecting. 345 has to break. We got up to 343 and have pulled back. So still tight in the sideways range at this point. So SPY held support by, well, let's see. We actually broke support by 3 pennies. That's a double bottom. And now short-term resistance for me is all about 293.48 from pre-market. So Facebook is still hovering just under its high of yesterday, and if the SPY bulls can hold on here, obviously that increases the odds that the Facebook bulls will be able to break that resistance. Oil bull still strong, trying to break the high of the day, still holding that 5-minute uptrend. CGC support. We don't have anything clear on the hourly established, so let's see if 5-minute RSI ends up getting oversold if we see a new low of the day. And 5-minute RSI gets oversold, we'll be looking for the potential of 5-minute oversold conditions to be looking for the hourly higher low. Netflix is clearly the weakest tech name. It's in the red and no one else is even close. Big dump, increasing bear volume. 5-minute RSI is under 20. So that almost looks news related, and we're dropping to lower lows on the daily. It is possible it is just stop losses triggering under 288, which was a double bottom. 287.20 is a support level to bottom fish a potential 5-minute oversold bounce off of. 287.20 is the lowest price we've seen on this entire pullback. So we have our SPY clear short-term support at the low of the day, which lines up with pre-market key level. $55.70 is oil resistance being tested right now. If we were to reject, it would be a double top. 5-minute higher low is 55.37. So for Netflix short term, it's all about 287.20. SPY testing support. Bull miners are at the high of the day. They've had a good start since open. Oil is a little double top, so bull's still certainly able to break that resistance. Still very much in a 5-minute uptrend, but an aggressive bear would be potentially top fishing that 55.70 level. Otherwise, bears are waiting for a loss of the 5-minute uptrend. Keeping an eye on Netflix support, Facebook double top resistance. Gotta close the windows real quick. Watching gold 4-hour resistance, because if gold cannot break 1550, we then have a 4-hour equilibrium to be watching. Curaleaf is setting up for a 5-minute equilibrium. We'll be watching for a 5-minute lower high, as the range in the first 20 minutes of trading is pretty large. But a double top with the high of yesterday on Curaleaf, definitely need to be a bit cautious of that. Facebook bears want to see a new low of the day. That's a ways away. At this point, they just want to see a break of 184.81 for that top fishing play to get a bit more breathing room. SPY, another test of the low of the day. It's a triple bottom at this point. Oil is a triple top with 55.70 as well, but again, still just hanging around. Plenty close enough to that resistance where it could still break. SPY currently a quadruple bottom if we're counting pre-market as well. Very clear line in the sand. And we'll be watching QQQ and XLF, and if we don't see both hit new lows on SPY hitting a low of the day, then we know the SPY bears are not likely to get a significant amount of follow-through. Oil bears pulling back a bit more significantly now after that double top at 55.70. Still in a 5-minute uptrend though. GE, nice little 5-minute bull flag and breakout for continuation. All about 889. That is the resistance on the daily. Nice hold of support. A few days ago, we were watching last week that equilibrium on the daily trying to form. And the bulls hit that double bottom and are now following through. If we do not break 589 and we lose the hourly uptrend, daily equilibrium will be playing out. Wow, T-God got crushed by that news. There's a potential playoff of 293 support on T-God. That's our daily high or low. But bulls would have to get back over $3 to see any kind of meaningful oversold bounce. At this point, we're at the low of the day, and 293 is certainly within sight. $55.37 key level on oil. So SPY Bull's putting up a fight. They're not rolling over. Tight 5-minute range. Quadruple bottom at key short-term support. So maybe looking to top fish oil here, depending on how this 5-minute higher low and little bounce attempt plays out. Most important thing for me for the rest of the week is XLF key resistance to change the daily trend at 2706. IWM key resistance to change the daily trend up at 150. If I top fish oil, I'm trading DWT, which is the 3 times leveraged bear. So I would be playing a bottom fish on that ticker because it goes up when oil goes down, which means it would have to hold its low of the day. SPY just continues to tighten. I'd expect a break in the range of SPY within 10 minutes. Oil is heading to 5-minute support at this point. At this point, if it were to hold a 55.37 and then we bounce, there is the potential of a 5-minute head and shoulders on US oil. So we just lost the 5-minute uptrend on oil. So when we bounce now, we'll look for a 5-minute lower high. CGC is absolutely disappointing for MJ. All of Canadian MJ is disappointing this morning. FSLY. Nice 5-minute higher low and continuation. So that 5-minute higher low is key short-term support of 32.10. Daily inside bar bull breaks. We've taken out 2 levels now. Volume is not quite what the bulls want it to be. I know it's still very early, but just looking at yesterday's very low volume as the volume was dropping off in that tightening range, and we're not at 25% of that volume yet from yesterday. So at this point, it's all about 34.88 resistance. And we're going to have to see a volume spike if the bulls are going to make it up to that level. Bulls will take it, but definitely not the ideal kind of break with the confident volume. SPY got a bear break. So now I zoom out to the hourly time frame on SPY, and we watch the gap to fill from yesterday, 291.58. That's really the next level on SPY after such a big gap up open. And it's shaping up for the potential of a 4-hour equilibrium between the high of Friday, the low of yesterday. Today may be a lower high on the 4-hour chart if we consolidate more significantly. But a lack of clear support in this area. So we look to the high of yesterday, 291.58. If run cannot break the high of yesterday, 15.56, it's just a lower high, and we'll look for an hourly equilibrium setup. So that is the most important resistance, and if we can't break it, a daily inside bar is extremely likely. Still battling the daily 12-period exponential resistance, rejected yesterday. High of today is right off of that level at this point. And I would say we haven't formed a 5-minute higher low yet, so next time we consolidate on the 5-minute, we'll anticipate a higher low will form, but losing the 5-minute uptrend without breaking that high of yesterday would mean hourly equilibrium setup. I don't like CGC as an uptrend at all. I mean, technically speaking, you could call that an uptrend, but it is as weak of a trend change as you can possibly see. 1 day of pullback, 1 day of follow through, straight into a pullback again. It's a setup, again, a daily trend change with no follow through. It's just a very weak bounce at this point. The daily exponential is still resistance. I wouldn't call it an uptrend personally. I would call it a bounce that saw a tiny bit of follow through. But it is certainly not behaving like a daily uptrend in any way, shape, or form. So SPY bear is getting a bit more follow through, very clear short-term signal on that break of the triple bottom or quadruple bottom. Facebook bears definitely would have been hoping for a little bit more follow through at this point. Facebook is setting up for a 15-minute higher low this morning, unless SPY gets ugly. And XLF is going to have to break the low of the day of 26.78 if SPY is going to get ugly, because right now it's just the tech sector hitting a low of the day that's dragging SPY down. Bull miners liking SPY weakness yet again. Certainly not a new trend that we've seen. There's that nice bear follow through. So that alone is a very, depending on what instrument you're trading, but if you're trading options, a weekly option on SPY, breaking that low of the day, that's your day maker right there. Just that one candlestick of follow through. Five-minute RSI definitely getting extended. It's down at 19. So we'll be looking for a short-term oversold bounce on SPY, but we'll just be watching 5-minute exponential resistances, and anything under 293.15 is just a 5-minute lower high on SPY at this point. QQQ, gap has filled on the daily, so it is just the low of yesterday. So that is 185.03 is QQQ support. OH hit the daily resistance, just under it by a few pennies, and is pulling back. Anything on the daily over 704 is a higher low, but it is a clear resistance rejection initially. Hourly time frame, anything above 717 is an hourly higher low. So we will be looking for an hourly and a daily higher low on OH consolidation. SPY bears continue to keep full control. We have not hit a bottom yet as the 5-minute RSI continues to get crushed. $0.50 drop in 5 minutes on that bear break. Gold is right at 1550 resistance. It's going to be key over the next hour. If that level does not break, it is a potential top fish. Watching the 5-minute uptrend. So if we lose the 5-minute uptrend without breaking 1550, that would be a potential top fish scenario. So SPY trying to cool off 5-minute RSI. We're just looking for a lower high on this bounce. With APHA at this point, I'm watching for an hourly higher low to form because anything above 617 is an hourly higher low. The bulls have a lot of space to work with in that regard. And my break even, because I took half a position for profit, my break even on that trade is probably 623. So still very comfortable. And I could either exit on a break of the low of the day, 640, or I can give the bulls more of a chance. And I haven't fully decided yet. Want to see how it reacts to this SPY bounce, and if it doesn't bounce at all with SPY, then I will exit the rest of the position. Watching to see if oil just gave us the 5-minute lower high at 55.60. There's definitely some volatility picking up in oil. And we have to break 55.33 to confirm a 5-minute downtrend from here. I'm currently watching positions I'm already in at this point, so I'm probably not going to enter an oil top fish unless I take my eyes off of current positions. So Netflix, nice bounce from the low of the day, up almost 1%. So that's fitting the scenario of the daily falling wedge. We dropped to a lower low, and so far there's no bear follow through. There's a lot of daily trading left to go, but if we close 289 or higher, it definitely fits the bill of a bear break with no follow through. So certainly still keeping an eye patiently on that daily falling wedge. Oil bulls are trying for a 15-minute bull flag. LABU. So daily inside bar, if the bulls can hold the low of yesterday, 33.97, so that's the only support to be playing off of. And LABD does have, or LABU does have that support in the low $34 range. Currently, the 5-minute bounce attempt is potentially a bear flag on LABU, but we can drop another 1% before we're right on top of those previously established support levels. So that's a possibility. Oil heading to test the high of the day, the double top at 55.70. Work is testing the daily lower high of resistance right now, 30.21 key level. It's a double top with the high of today at the moment, but not done testing it. SPY bounce attempt at this point is fairly weak. So another oil top fish potential. Odds of getting stopped out are high, but very little risk. Our EGN is setting up for a daily inside bar if the bulls can hold the low of yesterday, 281.25. So 281.25 is support. MJ sector definitely looks like ETF rebalancing was the most likely scenario for yesterday at this point. Guessing fundamental reasons for stuff is not useful, but being aware of the possible scenarios. For example, we know it's either a rumor that's true on TLRY, or we know it's ETF rebalancing. Those are the two likely scenarios. So heading into today with an open mind as to either being possible, and then letting today's action dictate which is most likely, which is ETF rebalancing at this point, in my opinion. So oil did get a new high of the day. Not a ton of follow through at this point. So most important resistance for SPY remains the clear 5-minute lower high at 213. Make that 293.15. Also keeping an eye out for an oil 30-minute volume climax. Last two 30-minute candles have had very high volume, although that's also due to the fact that the market opened at 9:30, so disregard that. CGC back to testing the low of the day. So I'm going to wrap up the morning webcam. I've got my stop loss under the low of the day for APHA. Other than that, keeping an eye on the oil setup because we are definitely extended on the 4-hour time frame, but no sign of slowdown just yet after confirming the 15-minute bull flag with a break of resistance. Not a ton of follow through on that break just yet, but reaffirming control for the bulls. SPY bears are in control of the short-term action, keeping in mind that we're just looking for an hourly higher low to form after the gap up open this morning. And if XLF does not break the low of the day, SPY bears are not going to get much follow through because we had QQQ break the low of the day, but XLF did not. And XLF is in a bit of a 5-minute equilibrium since the open, so that's key to be watching for SPY as well. Gold is still a possibility of a double top. We rejected from 1550. We're still in a 5-minute uptrend, but if we lose that 5-minute uptrend, the odds of that double top will increase a little bit. So I hope you all have a good rest of your morning. I'll be back in 15 minutes to continue coverage in the chat room. And I'll see you soon.